Hello, Merry Christmas, and let me tell you what one of my favorite things is, watching animated movies. And really, who doesn't? It's just plain fun being able to sit back and relax with something as simple and funny as a cartoon. But here's what my question is. Do you have any slightly more obscure ones in your library? Is there that one animated movie out there that's special to you, but it's hard to talk about because nobody's ever heard of it? I have a few too. These are movies that, for whatever reason, just sort of slipped under the public's eye even though they're actually quite good. So let's talk about them. Here is my list of the top 5 underrated animated movies that you should watch. Number 1. Rise of the Guardians. This is one that does make it onto some people's Christmas lists, though I actually don't hear it talked about that much. Which mystifies me because this movie has one of the most awesome concepts for any movie ever. It's a movie where Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, the Sandman, and its main character Jack Frost all band together to battle the Boogeyman. How could you not love a concept like that? We've known these characters since we were children, so it's a lot of fun watching them being put into these badass action hero roles. And taking a page out of some of blockbuster movies, they're all given likable personalities that work off each other.
Hope the Yetis treated you well?
Oh, yeah. I love being shoved in a sack and tossed through a magic portal.
Oh, good. That was my idea.
It also has everything that you'd want out of an animated movie. The environments are pleasing, the story is entertaining, and the villain is actually pretty cool. If you haven't seen it yet, then I highly recommend it. It's a bumpy sleigh ride into an action-adventure worth taking. Number 4. Storks. How this movie wasn't big with critics, I have no idea. It's funny! It's really funny! It's a movie set in a world where storks used to deliver babies but have now been converted into a package delivery service. You know, kind of like Amazon. But then one day, a baby is accidentally created, putting the entire company in jeopardy. So the main characters, a stork named Junior who wants to be the boss of the company, and a human girl named Tulip, have to take the baby to her new home. And from there, it's one weird situation after weird situation. Every single scene is trying to throw some random new joke at you. It's fast-paced, ridiculous, weird, and it's hilarious. It's not a world-changing masterpiece, but it's far from the waste of time the critics made it out to be. Number 3. The Book of Life. At the time I'm making this video, I have yet to see the movie Coco, but I have heard the comparisons that people are making between Coco and this. And now that I've seen it for myself, I actually quite enjoy it. To begin with, it has one of the most unique art styles I have ever seen in a movie. The story is told from the point of view of a woman narrating it to children, and is reenacting the story through these wooden puppets. So the characters themselves are all living wooden puppets. And the story itself is actually pretty good too. It's a love triangle centered around our hero Manola, his rival Joaquin, and a young girl who they're both in love with named Maria. One day Maria gets sent away, leaving both of the boys heartbroken but still not giving up on her. Years pass, the two boys grow up, and the girl who they loved comes back to town as a woman, thus starting the competition all over again. Except now Manola has a new problem in his life, where he's torn between his family's expectations and his passion for music, as well as his love for Maria. For such a simple setup, there's actually a surprising amount of depth to it. While I was watching this, I was thinking about how many traps this story could have fallen into. They could have just made Manola the good guy and Joaquin the straight-up bad guy. But instead, they gave us a well-rounded cast of characters with strong personalities. Manola is very likable in how passionate he is and his need not to give up. Joaquin isn't a bad person, but he is a little full of himself. And Maria, the woman they're competing over, is actually the kind of woman who you'd want to be in love with. As for the rest of the story, I'm actually trying to leave out spoilers, but I will say that there are lots of twists, turns, and crazy scenes to keep things interesting. There are some issues I have with it, like the comedy falls a little flat sometimes, and there's times when it feels like it's never stopping. But other than that, it's pretty damn enjoyable. It's a movie about life, death, and love. What's not to like? Number 2. The Iron Giant. This has been labeled as a classic, but it's also one of Brad Bird's lesser-known movies. And honestly, why more people don't know about this one is a mystery to me. It's a good movie. And it all starts with a simple setup. It's a movie set in the 1950s about a little boy who becomes friends with a giant robot who fell to Earth from space. Okay, seems very E.T.-ish, but what makes it work, much like in Book of Life, is the execution. The friendship between the boy and the giant is very well done and very heartfelt. It's not only a lot of fun watching the boy trying to hide the giant, but also teaching the giant how things on Earth work. And the way it's done actually feels genuine. You buy the bond that's forming between them. And watching the giant learn the good and the bad about Earth is a lot of fun to watch. The side characters are also memorable too. The boy's mother, that junkyard owner who's also an artist, and even that crazy agent who's trying to look for the giant. And to top it off, the giant itself is even voiced by Vin Diesel.
I'm Superman.
Honestly, it's a great movie. It has heart, it has characters, it has a good story, it has good writing. If you haven't seen it yet, then check it out and soar into a giant adventure. And finally, number 1, Kubo and the Two Strings. How more people aren't aware of this movie is a complete mystery to me. Kubo and the Two Strings is one of the best stop-motion animated movies I've ever seen. Not even just good, artistically good. The story is a coming-of-age tale about a young boy named Kubo and his mother who live in a village. But then one day it all comes crashing down when they're discovered by the mother's evil sisters. The village is destroyed and Kubo loses his mother before the sisters can grab him. He's then aided by a talking monkey and an armored beetle. And together they embark on a quest to find a lost set of legendary armor pieces that will help them fight off the evil that's hunting them. It's a simple setup for what's actually a pretty complex story. The characters are well written, even relatable at times. The action scenes are creative and fun to watch, and it's just a flat-out great story. You can tell where it's going, but you don't care because the way it's told is so interesting. I've seen it about 3 times now, and each time it gets better. The characters, the story, even the underlying themes. In my opinion, it's Laika's best work. If you haven't watched it yet, then what are you waiting for? Go see it. It's one of the best stop-motion animated movies I have ever seen in my life, and I hope that you find something about it to enjoy as well. Well, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed. Merry Christmas, and for now, see ya.